I'm Chad Sponge Birchall. You may remember me from such 16-0 losses as SK at IY Power Masters and SK on Train at E-League Season 1. But I'm here today with something a little bit new. We're going to be doing something called CS Lingo. And that's basically describing to you, the viewers at home, who might not understand terminology that we use on broadcast when we're doing some commentary or at the analyst desk. And today the term that we're going to be bringing to you guys is set pieces. Now, a set piece is basically a predetermined strategy that teams spend time in a server dry running or working out the best possible way to throw the utility, to utilize the weaponry and the positions and players that they have while executing onto a bomb site. These can be done at the start of the round or in the middle of the round or even towards the end of the round, but everybody can do this just based off of the name of the strat. So an example of this is right here. Virtus Pro are doing a jump smoke strategy onto the B bomb site. They all know exactly where their smoke grenades land, they know where their Molotovs are used to clear out, and they have perfect flashbangs to push any CTs off of lines that are left open and the utility doesn't cover. You can see them running into the bomb site and knowing which ways they have to take duels and where the fights are going to come from and pushing through their own smokes in this scenario to find the frags on the CT players. So a set piece can be really effective. You can see in this one here, this is the tried and tested Astralis B execute on overpass. You can see once more, they're using a little bit less utility than the Virtus Pro team did, but it's just as effective. They're running in, they have their flight paths, as I like to call it, which means they know exactly how they have to run in their pairs or individually to draw the angles and force the CT players to look at multiple different positions at once. That smoke right there in this strategy is the hero, and it forces the CTs to have to look at multiple different positions. They're able to entry frag onto the bomb site and get the bomb down with ease. This one right now is the flip side A execute, and this is one where if you have a lot of utility and you do it early on in the round, you can actually isolate all the positions where the CTs are going to be holding from. They use their Molotovs better than any team I've seen before, and the pros with these strategies is if you use them early on in a half when the CTs don't have a lot of economy, like you can see from FaZe here, they don't have a lot of their own utility to stop you from being able to get away from stuff like this. So having predetermined strategies like this in your arsenal, it means that it can make it very easy for you to find early gun rounds and going forward in Counter-Strike.
Hey Future Pros, it's Cobblestone again, but today we throw in smoke. This one will cover off the box walkway and obscure the vision from drop. To do the smoke, get into this corner. Then aim to the top left corner of whatever this thing is. Then do a jump throw. The smoke will bounce off the wall and bloom on the other side. Combine this with a couple more B smokes and you've got a nice execute going.
Welcome back to day one, week one of ESL Pro League Season 6. If you're fanatical about big games of Counter-Strike, we've got one for you. We've got fnatic taking on Big. Do you like that? That's straight out of the Alex playbook there.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but yeah. I'm very disappointed about your, you know, the segment that you just had.
That was terrible.
Because you should have opened it with, "Hello, Future Pros."
No, that's Rush's thing. I don't want to take that away from him. I might do some voiceovers with him, and we might throw in some Australian Future Pro comments in there while we can. But looking at this game we got going on right now, we do have to touch on that Big storyline, right? So we saw them at the start of the year in Leipzig, and then they made their way through. And the last season of Mountain Dew League, they were able to qualify through that and playing in relegation and making it all the way to Pro League where they are now. And then the major storyline is the big one, right? What they're able to pull off there is crazy.
Yeah, I think it all started in Copenhagen Games, actually, this spring, where they came into that tournament as a favorite. Everyone expecting them to be the ones to win the tournament. They lost, I think, in the semifinals against a Danish team called Singularity in a very surprising manner. I think also God B was saying how, you know, that was a massive learning experience for them, you know, seeing as how they had at that point in time always been the underdog, and then becoming more of a force to be reckoned with. And I think they really went through that phase very well, as we could see. Then they went through the Premier, they went through the Mountain Dew League, and eventually through the relegations, making their way to the Pro League, and then the Major, yeah. And they getting top 8 at the Major. So it's just been snowballing ever since the spring of the year.
That's off the back of one man as well, right? Tabson. He is the star of that team for sure. I don't think anybody else can really hold a candle to him. There is no second star. Everybody else just has to chime in. And I think that is a bit of a problem for Big, because if you don't have a second star and Tabson has a bad game, which is going to happen from time to time, like that's just the way Counter-Strike works, who's going to step up? And I think that's where the regimented side, or at least the strategies that Big can throw at teams is their, I guess, their biggest strength. But the problem with that is once you get found out, once teams know what you're going to do, it's so difficult to continuously reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely. You do feel that Gobi, because of his experience, is one of the in-game leaders that will manage to find a way around it, but definitely Tapsen needs more support in terms of just pure fragging from his team. But, you know, his performance is just amazing, especially from his role. He is the entry fragger, either the first or the second guy coming in. You know, it's not like he's being completely set up by his teammates and he's baiting his teammates out. He's the one actually doing the brunt of the work, and that's where you can see the tactical aspect of the game, right? That means the utility being used by Big is actually used very, very well, which allows Tapsen, even as the first or the second guy coming in, to still have a very good chance of getting those opening kills for the team.
And also, it's very, very interesting from Big is how they use Kiev as an op, or, you know, we just discussed about Kenny, for example, or Guardian, who are very mobile, like to make openings and be the kind of players who dictate the pace on a T half. But, you know, on Big, he's the kind of player, sometimes you even see him lurking, you know. He'll be the one who catching off rotations on a map like Inferno and Banana, unless the hit is actually making its way to the bomb site. So he's very situational and very like situation specific in the terms of how they utilize him. But I think the other play has to be Nex. I mean, he's always been the guy who we've said that's the next big thing back in a couple of years ago, right? But he's kind of always been very much up and down, especially when he played in mouse sports. And I think he's been one of the reasons definitely that this lineup has been able to come to the point that they have right now, because he's been able to support Tapsen in the fragging department often enough for them to be able to be competitive.
If he can just be consistent, right? That's probably enough for these guys, because
that's all goes on forever, right?
I think if you look at the T side from Big on Inferno, the creativity that they use there, their set strategies and stuff is insane, because they were basically throwing Molotovs that you had never seen before, or used in ways that you had never seen before. There was the porch one that they'd throw to lock the player under quad, and there was the balcony one they'd throw from top of mid to clear out the balcony so the halls players could come out after that, and just stuff like that, that, you know, Gold B is obviously theory crafting. These boys are working away in their house that they've got in, I think it's Berlin, and they're getting a lot done, like strategy-wise, which is something which you don't see people doing enough, and I think that's fantastic. But then you've got the flip side of that, right, which is fnatic. They've just added the in-game leader Golden from their academy team, and this is a big pickup, right? We touched on this earlier in the show. Is the respect going to be there for Golden to make the calls with players like Flusher, Crims, and JW, all major champions in their own right, and this guy, he's just the new kid on the block? How much is he going to be able to do with the squad?
I mean, it's two things, right? It's whether he can like earn the respect of, you know, the long tenured players on the team like Flasha, Crims, and JW, and the other thing is, how is he like as a personality? I think a good example for it is Stewie, right? Yep. From Cloud9 over in North America. Initially, he had to take the role because no one else wanted to, and even for him, it took a decent amount of time before he could really like grow into the role. And because he managed to do a good job, he earned the respect of his teammates for doing so. So for Golden, is he that type of a character? Is he that type of personality that can assert control and that can really, you know, okay guys, you want me to be the in-game leader, then you have to listen to me, and tell maybe sometimes, you know, JW and Flasha to shut up and listen to him and listen what he has to say. We've seen from the Navi team before Zeus got back into the lineup how that was the problem for Seized. Everyone was having suggestions, everyone was saying, no, let's not do that, let's do, like, go for my idea, and then you have a problem of not having coherent leadership, not having a clear leader figure within the team, and you just have a mess all around.
Yeah, I think it's come to a point where, you know, these superstars of the yesteryears need to learn and understand the fact that they needed a new leader. I'd really like to pick up of bringing in someone new who really likes to be an in-game leader, who enjoys having that all the pressure of being one as well. You know, if they start being egoistic and not listening, if things go south, you know, I think is there a point of return at that point anymore? So they need to suck up their pride and just go and work at it.
Yeah, I think he might have an easier time than, you know, a lot would expect, even though the egos are going to be there from those three players that we touched on. No one else in the team has really wanted to embrace being the in-game leader. Flusher did it because no one else could. He's just the kind of guy, you know, who he'll just do whatever he has to do. He's just going to grind like that. So in this situation, they have a fresh start, they have a fresh chance, and I don't think we need to dwell talking about them losing Dennis and Olaf too much, right? We've seen this happen before. This team, you know, they've been split in the past.
We've seen it happen, and it didn't really turn out all too well.
No, not at all.
For the team. I mean, that lineup that they had over at E-League did manage to make it all the way to the semifinals, which was a surprise, at least to me. But I think that this time around, I really hope that they do listen not just to Golden, but also to Jumpy. I feel like Jumpy can also bring a fair amount to the team. I feel like he does a good job of preparing them, but nothing really can work if you're not going to implement something that's being prepared for you.
Yeah, no, in the big picture, I just feel like, you know, it's a big issue for a lot of teams in pretty much everywhere in the world, the lack of in-game leaders. So just, you know...
Except for Denmark, of course.
Except for Denmark. That's the one exception, right? They've had a lot of them here. But everywhere else in the world, every single country has an issue with in-game leaders. So I think it's just very, very cool that, especially in a country like Sweden, that has been in the past, you know, the powerhouse of Counter-Strike, you know, and they've kind of been lost in the last year or so. It's cool to see them actually given an opportunity to a totally new guy, in the sense of him being in the academy team, promoted to the actual, you know, main team, and given the tools. You know, if he has the brain and if he has the personality, like Janko was saying, which is a very, very important part of it, I think this could be a very interesting prospect to be looking at.
Yeah, not only that, we've got JW playing some good Counter-Strike recently. I think that's something that for a while he was in a bit of a slump, and it was very difficult for him to find space and make frags. And to touch on a player like JW, right? People don't really understand, but when you play his brand of Counter-Strike, you need to be constantly reinventing the moves that you use to find kills.
For sure.
Because you can get countered so easily. If they know you throw this smoke and then you pick out through it, or you like to push Ivy on train all the time, then you're just going to get countered and neutralized very easily. And to be a player like him and having to reinvent all the time, that's a very difficult thing to do. So if he can stay on top of that and not get complacent, he can continue to be that force that we remember him for.
I think that's another style that simply cannot work in today's Counter-Strike, you know, consistently against the top-tier opposition. The closest you have to it is probably Fur, and the way he plays sometimes, you know, and that's mostly against force buys or eco rounds, with the MAC-10 being super aggressive and just getting in your face. And that's also because his team is super used to it, and they know how to play around that, they know how to react to it. In fnatic, when JW used to do it, it was reaction, but only by other players making their own individual moves as well. And especially now with, you know, lack of firepower compared to some of the other fnatic lineups that we've seen in the past, I feel like he's the one who needs to do adjusting in that sense and become more of a, you know, straightforward type of player.
I have a topic here to talk about. You brought up Fur from SK, right? So normally with that, Fur and Phelps to some degree both go out and they find information and go for frags, and they be a little bit more aggressive. Then the backbone of the team is able to, you know, pick up the slack if it doesn't work. But I think, like, if you're a player like JW and you have, when you look at the players like Olaf, you could probably put in the same brand. If you had a team of, I don't know, let's go with 4 players who are happy to play that style of Counter-Strike at any given moment, you could. This has been floated a lot, and I'm sure you maybe remember from the days in 1.6. Actually, everyone here would. That you could almost play spawn-based Counter-Strike in 1.6 on the CT side and the T side, because spawns played such a bigger role back then than they do now. I wonder if it would be viable with the players to actually, if you can all do everything, right? If you're a super team who can all frag, to actually look at that style of CS. It's very random, it's not as structured, but if you can get away with it, maybe for the start of a game, you're going to throw the opponents off, I think.
I think in CSGO, it's more difficult to execute perhaps than in 1.6. I think it was equally difficult to execute in both games, simply because, you know, you need to realize if you're on the CT side and playing against a team like that, you just have to play a bit more passive and not allow them to go for those picks. If the team is going to be, if your opponents are going to be spread around like that, you should be the one taking calculated risks in pushing a certain area with multiple players. Then you get an advantage there. You have the ability to rotate back and maybe play retake on the other bomb side depending on the map. I think the big problem was in the fnatic era, a lot of teams were just willing to give them easy duel. I mean, easy duels. Give them like a 50-50 duel in their heads, but when against that fnatic roster, they would always have the advantage, and they were always able to exploit that.
I think a map like Dust 2 used to be, you know, the kind where the spawn still dictate a lot of the play. You know, even if when you do a lot of specific things, if you had a long spawn on T side, you'd go for the pick, you know, 10 out of 10 times basically. And also on the CT side, the spawns would dictate how do you approach the CT. Are you going to go for long? How do you go for long? Are you going to be a catwalk? Maybe do a cheeky mid push? What's going to happen there? So I really, personally, that's one of my favorite type of Counter-Strike, to be honest.
How much fun did you have counting spawns in 1.6?
Exactly. It's not, well, yeah, that's a different story, yeah.
So the matchup is Train, right? So we're talking about spawn-based Counter-Strike, and the head-to-head of this one are Big and Fnatic. You know, I would be leaning towards Big being the favorites based off the fact that Train is a more structured map. Fnatic wouldn't have had time with this roster to build into any structure. Set strats aren't easy to come by. If you're adding 2 new players and an in-game leader, he's going to change the way that the game's going to be played. Which way do you guys see this one going?
I think you presented it perfectly in a sense. It's a clash of styles.
Yep.
Big more tactical, Fnatic more individual, and actually Fnatic's aggression, especially on the CT side, could work well against the more slow-paced style of Big. It's just a matter of finding the right moment and the right place to be aggressive, right? If you have good timing towards Ivy, you figure out that they haven't been putting a lot of presence there in a certain round, and then you get the information by having a flank. That can be very powerful. On the other side of things, Big with their tactical style, if they're not too obvious in what they're trying to do, they can negate the individual skill of some of the Fnatic players, which they're definitely going to have to rely on in this matchup.
I think the good thing for Big is the fact that, you know, they've been the one, I think SK is the one that really invented, or were the first to master the capability of switching the pace to be good at fast-paced stuff and really good slow-paced stuff. We know, everyone knows Big is really good at just establishing map control and then, you know, attacking even down in the last 15 seconds. We saw them play against NIP in the New York qualifiers, for example. You know, they let it go down in the last 15 seconds and still execute to the A bomb side to a perfection, get the bomb plant and just hold it off. But at the same time, when they have the possibility to know the pressure is on from an economic standpoint, for example, to their opposition, they know, you know, when to switch it up and go really fast. So yeah, I think the Big has the package to deal with Fnatic here.
It looks like they agree with us at Betway. They have Big as the favourites there, and Fnatic, you know, just a not, I guess, slight edge to Big, I suppose. It's too difficult to predict at this time, right? You can't really just say one of these teams is going to be a favourite out the bat. It has to be Big just based off of the major performance and the fact that they've been a team for longer. But the exciting thing with Fnatic, and we always say this about these kind of rosters, is the potential for explosive Counter-Strike and just random CS, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, Fnatic undisputably has the advantage in firepower. So if they can find on the T side those fights, and it's very difficult on a map like Train actually to hide your players on the CT side that much. So it's going to be, I think for Fnatic, the win condition is probably winning the pistol and having early control of the economy, right? Because if Big gets off to a good start and then they have those AWPs, you really have a hard time seeing Fnatic having a lot of set pieces in place on the T side to negate the influence of those AWPs or of the equipment that Big will have.
Yeah, in the early parts of the slow rounds that will inevitably happen, you know, you don't want to be losing those first duels to have give them an advantage to Big when you're Fnatic. So the early parts of the rounds are going to be super important for them. Do they have to make a decision whether they're going to take the duels or whether they're going to play more passively and just hold on to the grenades for the longer part of especially the first, let's say, 7 rounds? That's usually when Big is playing very slowly, isn't it? So you want to hold on to your grenades, make sure you have mollies and smokes to play with to counter the attacks once they happen from Big.
I know you can't expect much from Fnatic. Obviously, it's been such a recent change in the rosters. We don't even know which maps they practice, you know, have they actually practiced, trained that much. But I really am curious to see how will they look, like which style are they going to go for? If you're going to see any signs of them trying to be more tactical, at least in some rounds, despite it being difficult with the limited amount of time with the current roster, I really feel like that's something they need to do as a team to come back to being a contender. I mean, neither you and me, I'm pretty sure that you also wouldn't have Fnatic in your top 6 for making the LAN playoffs here. You know, we're talking about a team that's always been in the conversation for winning the tournament. You know, it's never been like, oh, will Fnatic even be there? Now it has come to that, and I'm sure that they themselves want to be back in the conversation.
You could argue they're even the best Swedish Counter-Strike team right now, right? They're at a boot camp at the moment. I've seen the tweets coming out from JW.
You can argue even whether that would mean all that much.
Exactly, right? Swedish Counter-Strike has really fallen off the face of the earth in recent times, so not really ideal. Where do you see, you know, Lekro fitting in? Do you think he can be a star in this team?
Feels like for some reason, I mean, not for some reason, obviously there's a lot that you don't see even in game on the server, but Lekro seems to be, you know, hot property when it comes to all these shuffles. Seems like every team kind of wants him, except for Fnatic when they wanted the roster from early 2016, right? So definitely, I think that makes it obvious that besides his skills, which we have seen on the server, he seems to be someone who's a good teammate. You know, doesn't really cause problems within the team, isn't perhaps a conflicting personality. So we've seen flashes of him, flashes of brilliance. It's mostly been him just killing people due to his mechanics. So I'm still waiting for someone to implement him and get consistent performances out of him.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of last year in Malmö, actually. You know, he was playing phenomenally for Godsend. So, yeah, he could be. Definitely has pistol rounds. That guy is just something else, isn't he? Like
the Deagle?
Yeah, and the Deagle, like all the pistols, he seems to be mastering those. And definitely adds a layer of punching power to a lineup. So, yeah, fun to see how it works.
Just before the chants of analyst stop talk get too loud, We're just waiting for the players to join the server because we were a little bit early. Things happen a bit quicker than before.
It's all here, season 6.
Yeah, we're never going to be late. Don't quote me on that. Definitely don't quote me on that.
You jinx it now.
Look, it's the counter jinx. Jinxing the jinx, the jinx, the jinx. All right, but you know, we can go podcast mode a little bit more here. Do we want to jump into the jumping?
We don't need to talk about that, but we can talk about big and their like performance at the major, right? It's one of those. It's very similar to Immortals and Gambit as well. I think it was just an overperformance from them. A lot of things clicking. They only won Inferno in the group stages 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. That's what got them into the playoffs, right? So for them, it's a great achievement. Obviously, for teams to have a secured legend spot for the next major, but there are still very, very glaring flaws within the team. Firepower, depth of map pool as well. So I think there's still going to be a lot of work ahead of them, but it's cool to see a team who has those flaws still being able to compensate for them with some great innovations tactically, as you mentioned.
Gives us hope. Maybe there's another Uranus.
I'm going to be the bad guy here. I don't see Gambit, Big, or Immortals becoming, you know, top 10 consistent teams in the world here. Maybe Gambit to the tail end, but even still, like, losing Zeus is going to impact them huge. Immortals is currently in turmoil. Like, we actually have no idea what's going on with their roster. Nothing has been officially announced in a while. So those 3 teams, I don't want to say they fluked it. They just had a really good tournament at the major.
Not in the bin, but
I mean, also, I mean, look at FaZe. FaZe has been 0-3 at the tournament. I'm sure all of us here would still say that even with that lineup, FaZe is a much better team than Big. Even though they lost to Big at the tournament itself, right? If they play the best of 3 series 5 times, I'm sure FaZe wins at least 4, if not all 5 times against Big. So for Big, it either has to be getting new players in to replace some to get more firepower, or it's going to be, you know, Tabson moving to a stronger team eventually. I really feel that you can compensate for individual underperformance or a lack of firepower with tactics and with good strategy, but that can only lead you up to a point. You will never be able to beat a team like FaZe if they become structurally sound themselves, even to like a decent amount.
Yeah, plus, the more we see of the strategies from Big, the easier it is to counter, right? We already touched on the fact that it's so difficult to continuously reinvent the wheel. And if you're trying to do that week in, week out, while teams are now noticing you and noticing tendencies, they can pick you apart a lot easier. And then that flaw of not being as individually skilled, it's just glaringly obvious and you're going to get hammered.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, that's phase 1 of this Big lineup, done and dusted. They extracted everything they could have extracted from this 5. I feel like, you know.
Milk the cow dry.
Yeah, huh?
Milk the cow dry.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's from a tactical perspective, they've gone through all the stops, really sound, making great decision making a lot of time. Then it comes down to the fact that then there's the rounds where you're going to have to grind it, right? You're going to be down-numbered. You kind of need a bit of a miracle, and that's where that individual skill, just the capability of simple team play basics and playing off each other comes into the play, and that's where you need to have more firepower within the lineup.
Maybe to explain it in a bit more like detail to the viewers what we exactly mean. You know, at the end, Counter-Strike comes to, you know, killing your opponents, getting the headshots. The problem is, like, in theory, in practice, it's not as simple as it sounds in theory. So when you talk about tactics and that helping you overcome your individual flaws, it means you use your utility, you have like a clear plan coming into the round. How are you going to put your individuals in a better position when the duel actually comes in? How are you going to make it not a 50-50 battle, but actually like a 70-30, right? You use the Molotovs to clear out certain spots so that the entry fragger coming in only needs to focus maybe on 1 or 2 positions. And everyone who's played Counter-Strike knows that when they have a feel, or when you're the second guy coming in and you know where the opponent is, you have so much more confidence. Your crosshair is already on him and you're more likely to get that kill than not. And that's something that teams like Big, like Flipside, try to do. They try to make it easier for them, for their players to actually win that duel. And they have to do so because they don't have the luxury of teams like FaZe, you know, SK, Navi, G2, Astralis to an extent, where their individual players can just have a good round and win them around just by that.
Yeah, something to note as well when you look at that is you can be a lesser team, you can be a Chinese team, you can be an Australian team like MyWo's were, and we would dry run just as much as anybody, right? You could have your strategies down pat, you could have everything working to a T, but unless unless you can do what these big and Flipside are able to do at the big events, which is make the opponent respect you early, which is actually take those jewels, make sure you're holding positions and you're not just going to get out-fragged or run over. You can't do your game plan otherwise. So what they are able to do is actually very impressive, because so many strategies were coming out from my squad, and if you was versing you guys when you were the coach of NIP, just completely running over us on Inferno, and we couldn't even do any of our set plays because we couldn't get the ground we needed. And that's something that I think, a team like Big needs to be given props for. Yeah,
and then the better teams are also very stubborn a lot of the times, right? To changing things, reading up on certain cues. They should have read that specific train game against Renegades with NIP. You guys did that like split from outside to inner. Yeah, you did it once. Shame on you, but you did it twice, shame on us, right? I mean, the cues were there, everyone knew it was coming. No one still adjusted, even though it was called out, right? Yeah. So, coming from experience, players are very stubborn sometimes. Even when they see things are coming, they still don't adjust necessarily because they just feel we're better than them. We can just out-aim them, and that's it.
Especially NIP players.
Let's not get there.
Alrighty, well, we're still going with the podcast mode. I think we're almost there. The coach, he lagged out, but we shouldn't be too far from starting now.
Who cares about the coach? You're not in game. Like, start the game.
Plus, that guy makes some dumb tweets. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but he
Which coach?
The Kakafu?
Ah.
Yeah, that guy's Twitter. He's back in the server, apparently, so that means we must be getting really close.
Him, Chad.
I've summoned him, yeah. He's heard me. He's heard me talking. Maybe we have time for one more point, I guess. Let's try and throw it in there. Something that gets overlooked with Fnatic, at least the one of the past, and we might see it transition to this, is the chemistry this team used to have. It seems like it's fallen apart due to them losing confidence.
I think that this team never had insane chemistry. They were just winning. It's very difficult not to have chemistry when you're winning.
I don't want to cut you off here, Yanko, but I'm just getting reports right now that the server conditions are looking absolutely fantastic. We have two men down on the sidelines, Harry and Henry, the double H combo, ready to report in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chad. He's absolutely right. The server is just about ready, Harry. Are you ready to cast this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. You sound confident, not at all, but I'm sure he's ready.
Yeah. I hope I am, at least.
Okay,
no,
good.
I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm a huge big fan. I'm a big fan.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
This is the biggest nightmare you can possibly have in Counter-Strike, is when Big are on the server, every adjective that comes out of your mouth seems to be something to do with size, and it doesn't really work.
No, well, I mean, some guys love to talk about size. I'm not one of them.
No? All right, then. Well, I'll see whether... I'll keep a count. Every time you say the word big accidentally, I'm gonna ring the bell. Okay?
I think it's all about, if you know how to use it.
Okay, still getting done that. I like it. Well, why didn't you describe this, by I'm bored of doing it. Why don't you tell us what's happening right now?
I can give it my best shot. Yeah, so for Fnatic, we got fairly standard, just 4 armor, the nade up on Crims along with a diffuse kit. That's going to come in handy. But the more interesting is God B. He's gone for the utility. Everyone else picking up armor. They're going to try and use that, I think, to get out over here on A.
Yep, the utility, not really bought in bucket loads here. You'd expect a tactical team like Big to have maybe 2 or 3 smokes, but not going to be the case, but they're waiting for the aggression from the CTs. That certainly works out. Next, he finds the first headshot, and he does take down JW, but Lekro, the new signing for Fnatic, he finds a kill with that USP and levels the playing field to a 4-on-4.
Yeah, they're going to be slowly continuing this push on. Okay, next, that was unexpected. Down goes Lekro. Flusher trying his best to try and... keep things even, does turn us back on a 3-on-3, but it's Key within the site, tapping away. Takes himself one more. Flusher and Golden. All that remain, the new and the old. Continuing their aggression on in. Next, tapping away. Takes them both as Golden and Flusher both hit the deck. That will be Big in with the pistol over on the T side.
Not too bad at all, is it? Actually, not as tactical as we expected. We've known Big to be now a side that deploys all the utilities, and as Chad showed us in the video earlier, the set pieces, they're definitely a set piece orientated team, not necessarily having the most amount of firepower, but they do have tabs in, of course. But there it is. It's going to be next with 4 kills. Very good pistol for him. This is a new look Fnatic. For anyone's not aware, they've lost 2 players. Some of the bigger names, of course, as well. Olaf Meister's gone. Dennis is gone. Bringing 2 of the young guns in. It's Golden. Well, the new signings pushes it around for that CZ. Finds the gear, and it's going to be a 5-on-4. He didn't recover a weapon, though, so I feel like the CTs have to fall back at this point, but they're still fighting a little bit there at the lower ramp. Finally go back towards inside, and we'll see if they've got anything left there. As we get to the 1-minute 20 mark, it's going to be a 5-on-4, still in favour of Fnatic with Golden down on 37 points of health.
Yeah, Kiev was just checking to see if there's anything of promise out on A, which it looks like there is not. The rest of the gang waiting outside the B-bomb site. Tapson looking like he wants to try and clear out rafters. JW in the meantime has been afforded all this positional control down towards Ivy, pushing on out, gets so much information on the back of this. Keeve's in position to try and hold for any push out from the A bomb site, but right now fnatic with the man advantage. Big just biding their time. Now looking like B is going to be the site in question. tabseN's checking it, has to be careful because Golden, the man who's already taken one, the latest addition, waiting down to his left, hiding in the site. tabseN has to check this. He's going to get fully flashed. The flash is perfect, but Golden perhaps firing a bit too early. It's going to go down. tabseN able to find the equalizer. JW dispatches of Keeve and Big. They've had a change of heart and a change of sight. Go out in towards A, into the waiting arms of Lekr0, who just taps away with the Deeg. tabseN able to take one more in return, but it's the 1v3 with 15 seconds left. It's not looking good for Big.
It's not looking good whatsoever. The bomb is down as well. tabseN, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Galil in hand, 10 HP, and time running away from him. It's going to be 3 seconds here. He's in CD spawn. I think he just has to save the Galil. There it is. And fnatic pull one back. It was Golden that pushed it around from the very start. Got that 5-on-4, and then finding headshots all over the place. That's CZ. Lekr0 doing a very good job there. So the young guns managing to step up. It's 1-1. We do save a Galil. That's in the very capable hands of tabseN, of course, but what a chore they've got ahead of them now. Force buying with the Deagles, and that's the problem. I don't really think you can justify saying Big are a team with huge amounts of talent. They've got great tactics and some good names, and Next had a very good major. So did tabseN, of course, and Godby had his moments, and unfortunately that's where the fracking power really ends. It's down to guys like Keeve, who can be a very good AWPer, but very inconsistent, I would say. He has some very good events, some very quiet ones as well. But now getting mowed down at the main entrance is JW and Lekr0 going to town. This is one of JW's absolute best maps, so wait for the AWP to come out. That's going to be quite a cool battle to watch, and this is a very simple round here. As poor old Legia, he goes towards the inside bomb site, almost destined to go down here. flusha finds him, and there it is, 2-1 in favor of the new-looking fnatic. So, before we have a chance to calm down here, are you excited by the prospect of Golden coming up from the academy team?
Yeah, I think he's one of the...
I imagine you've probably casted him quite a lot.
Yeah,
right?
I have, yeah, so. Yeah. And you know, I think he's not only is he a very talented player, he's you know, and works well as an IGL. He certainly has done a lot of things for fnatic Academy. But the other thing that I find quite interesting about it is I think this is one of the only examples where an academy player has actually progressed up into the main roster. I can't think of any others where that happens. But yeah, I mean, not only is it interesting in that regard, but I mean, he's done wonderful things for them. They didn't really have a lot of firepower to begin with. So, you know, I mean, he turned that into a team which could do some decent damage. And, you know, I think fnatic as well, they're kind of like a king of teams which have that honeymoon period. You know, they're ones that see that happen to quite a lot. So, you know, I think we could see them look good, certainly at least for now. Whether or not that stays consistent, then, you know,
well,
we'll have to wait
I'm not that excited, right? Lekr0 has been in this team like 3 times now. He's back and forth, dynamic godsend, and I just don't think he's a decent player. He's got great deagle and he's a decent rifler, but it's Golden, I guess, I'm more interested with to see whether he can bring more tactics here and whether they can step up, as it wasn't looking great since they kind of had the last year, not really winning a single thing. But here we go, nice approach from Nex, and he'll be taking down Crims. It's now a 5-on-4. He went aggressive there towards the main entrance of the outside bomb site and finds the first pick, takes down Crims, and it will be a 5-on-4. He goes down to 9 HP, but still plenty of time to work with here, and this is where Big can be their most deadly, I would say. They've got the advantage, they still have a few smokes to work with here, and they're waiting for the reactions of the CTs to come through.
JW going to be holding it aggressive. Pushed on up. Going to be biding his time. It's actually the rotate round from Lekr0 into the B-bomb site that could make a difference here. Currently 2 players waiting within. JW can be hot on their heels, rotating in through Pop Dog, but Big, they're going to start to burst on into the site. Lekr0 is to step up, takes the first, goes back for more, but he's been tagged low, finds himself pinned, and Legia will finish him off. 2v4, Golden and JW, but Golden tapping away, trying to make a showing as a fragger, not just the man with the brains. As now Keeve, alone within the site, finishes off JW, and it's all eyes on Golden. The latest addition to the once great Swedish roster, trying to pull them out of this in the 1v2. Starts to sneak into the site. Knows that they can just play for the afterplants here. Does have a kit, so he's able to fake it out, but this should only work once. Taps away. Here's the players up behind him, knows where one of them are. Next, the first man to take the peek. He's tagged the lowest. Golden finds it, but is he going to expect Keeve coming from the same location? Shots come in. Golden goes for the flick, but Keeve finishes him off, and that will be Big. with their second.
Yeah, they got the opening frag at that point as well. 5 on 4, biding their time, waiting for the reactions to come through. They had that advantage, went towards the inside bomb site. It was down to Lecro and Golden doing everything they could as well. JW chimed in a little bit at that point as well. But unfortunately, Golden, yeah, he had a couple of good frags in that round, but left on a 2 versus 1 situation. It's just such a nightmare there. They sacrificed the low HP player first to get information, try and bait him out. That's fine. And like you said, when there's both players up there as well, very difficult to hold them off. But still, another fast round here from Big. They do manage to bring out Galil's, UMPs, and 3 AKs. Both teams struggling a little bit for cash right now, but fnatic still have the lead and the opening shot as well. I did say JW is going to light up the scoreboard, especially in this sort of matchup, I think. I think he'll be able to go to town. And it depends whether Big have something prepared, especially for him. But that's one of the things about JW. You can't really predict what he's going to do every single round, right?
There's no preparing for JW.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the only man who I think really can challenge him is going to be Keeve. And Keeve is probably the most unreliable AWPer in all of CS. Sometimes, you know, you hit that god tier level with him, and then sometimes he, you could have anyone else subbing in for him. Anyone from matchmaking would have the same effect. So hopefully he is in his god tier form to try and rival the likes of JW. Right now, three players are Big stacked up here outside of B. Seems to be their go-to. Going to be letting that clock tick down. Just holding their angles, waiting to see if fnatic want to try and tempt any aggression. Crims has pushed up to Pop Dog. He can rotate in quickly, but they're actually going to start to rotate background, not deciding to hit B just yet.
We discussed this idea earlier. When you've got set pieces in mind and you lose that first pick, it's up to a strong in-game leader to work out what the solution is to rectify that situation. With 30 seconds remaining, the bomb's still in T-spawn here, Harry. They've got to get their skates on here. Big are suddenly a team that have been known to let the clock run away from them. Yet to make their final move, they still have a smoke and a couple of flashbangs here, but the CT's looking very comfortable here, the 10-second mark. You just save him? Like, it looks like they won't even get the bomb down as it gets dropped once again. They're going to fight back to the best of their ability, but with 5 seconds remaining, I think the round's done. The bomb's still down in T-spawn, so they might get a few consolation frags here, but that will be it. They cannot win the round, and God B knows it. He actually wants to die there, believe it or not. He'd rather go down and get money with his teammates than dropping with absolutely nothing.
I think, yeah, he died after the timer.
So yeah,
just after it.
That's what he wanted to do. So it might sound weird in Counter-Strike for anyone who doesn't watch that much, but sometimes it's better to die than stay alive. Especially when you've got a UMP as well. You want money coming in than just having nothing. Well, oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah, he missed it. That's what I mean.
Sorry,
yeah.
I thought you said the other way around. I thought you said he did save. Right,
no,
okay.
He tried to time it right,
yeah,
but got it wrong.
Well, there you go. So it's a bit of a problem. So he did try his best, but didn't work out for him. PG50s. Glocks and Eagles, that puts Big into financial turmoil, I would say. But there it is, the first frag for Golden. Really is supposed to be a decent little frag, I have to say. Albeit against pistols, but he's looking comfortable at least so far. 5 on 3, towards inside we go. A bit of a stretch at this point. I don't think they'll get the bomb down here, but Flusher, the timing is going to loot him. They might have actually done a great job here. They know he's probably around here somewhere, so they'll plant in the most unorthodox spot possible. So the frags, it doesn't even matter. Oh, they're going for just plant the bomb, boys. Don't try and win the round. Please just plant. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Get it down. Nice and safe.
Yeah, Gubby has to pick exactly the right spot. Tries to play it safe. It doesn't work out. Leggy is all that remains in the 1v4. Has himself an AWP. Goes for the no-scope. Crims. Swift to execute. And yeah, I mean, sometimes Gubby's, you know, ginormous brain gets in the way of just, you know, your normal logical thinking. He's very, very emotional. I think that's why it was so hard for him to die in the other round. He just can't let go of his physical being that easy. But yeah, it's fnatic in with their 5th. JW back on the AWP in spite of going down in that previous. It was juggled forward. 4 players survived. Plenty of money. And Big, well, they got some P250s. The armor up on Tabson. The Deagle for Nex. But I'm not sure that's going to be enough, Henry.
Well, I have to agree. It's 5-2 right now. Deagles and P250s, no armor. Apart from Tabson, of course, we get to see him really have huge impact here. He's on 2 kills and 6 deaths. We have just returned from vacations. I'm not expecting too much here, but still, he certainly is the MVP of this team. But next, he's trying to find that spot as well as he hits the first headshot there. Takes down Golden, who I said was fragging well before, but it's Necro to recover the situation and find a quick couple of kills. Make it 3, not quite. God-B takes him down, and now we've got a round on our hands. It's going to be next picking up that M4A4. Of course, God-B's down to 12 HP, but still, they have a chance to win this round.
Not going to be picked up. Next falls, trying to get it. Flusher holds the fort, and there you go. God-B finished off. fnatic in with their 6th, but it was a very expensive round. They have lost a bit of money, only keeping 2 players alive. And Big, they're able to buy up what they can. Keeve going to be on the AWP. I think most crucially is a thing that's going to impact this a hell of a lot. We could see if he could finally go toe-to-toe with JW right now.
Lovely shot there from next towards Ivy. I like that a lot. But finally, you're right. Keeve with the AWP, 4 AKs as well. Keeve can be a decent AWP, yet to see it so far. But he goes towards Ivy this time, waiting for any aggression coming from the CTs towards that Ivy position. Quite a default round though from both teams. We're not seeing anything too exciting here. Flush out alone towards inside. Lekro backing up Crims towards Popdog. Golden and JW watching towards that Ivy area. So quite a nice little setup here. This one can be vulnerable to Molotovs. If you can lock Crims in there with the Molotovs, which you can do through the broken windows, then it can be a little bit problematic. Lekro might have to fall back, but for now, it's looking quite comfortable for them. Next, watching towards A main. It's quite a passive, tentative setup from here, from Big, hoping that fnatic make a mistake and maybe get a little bit greedy trying to find that first frag. And we know JW, he's not a very patient man, Harry, so he might push in towards main entrance here, and you can see Next waiting for him.
Yeah, I mean, when you're up against JW, you have to be patient. It's the only way to counteract him. You can see he's really thinking about going in for that push. The smoke goes down out towards Ivy. Going to facilitate that push in from Big. Players over in Popdog turn their attention out towards A main. Next through the smoke does take one. JW trades it back instantly. The double Molotov down in Popdog, so they can't rotate the player on through. That means that right now Leggy is left high and dry as the Molotovs burn brightly beneath him. Keeve pushing in through Ivy. Trying to find something, trying to find anything out towards the site. It's JW on his AWP to start the destruction. Takes the first. Tapson able to take one while he's fully flashed. That's going to be Crims down in Pop. Oh. Keeve with the no-scope. JW goes down as well. And now we're into a 2-on-2. This round gets competitive really, really quickly. Holding the cross. Keeve spots out Golden, but Flusher steps up, does the damage. No time left. And Keeve misses that shot with only a few seconds. He might even go down after the timer. Has to be careful.
Should be fine.
There you go. Oh.
So they saved the AWP. So I think this is a chance for Big to take a tactical timeout and work out what the play is going forward. You've saved the AWP. You can just about afford to force around that. Some nice shots, Evan Keeve. I think he saw something with his way. You can see the barrel just about. There it is. Okay, so it was difficult to catch that and all the action was kicking off. But he does take it down and they can't win the round. So a bit frustrating for them, but fnatic looking very good here. They've got tons of money. They can get a double AWP setup if they want to. But now we haven't got Olofmeister or Dennis. I'm not sure who will be taking that secondary AWP role. Crims or Flusher, not really known to use that weapon too much. Flusher maybe sometimes, but we'll see whether Golden or Lekro can maybe rise to the occasion. So sneezing there.
That's so good.
Caught me by surprise. Just about caught the cough button.
Yeah, the thing I love about Golden is he's actually a big fan of the Mag 7. It's something that, you know, I think if you had to get it up, it's probably one of his most used weapons. Just ridiculously a huge fan of it, and also at the same time also very skilled at knowing how to play with them. So I wonder when we're going to see that broken out. I imagine if fnatic ever catch a bit of a low economy. But you said how Big had a bit of money to try and force around this AWP. They've gone for the decision instead to play it a bit more careful. Some deagles up almost entirely across the board. Leggy has got armor and a P250. Next is some armor too. That means if the AWP does...
Oh dear.
Oh, Keeve.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, that's not good.
You hate to see that, Harry. The first time I've had to say that in the Pro League so far. Standing in the fire, scoped in, hoping they make a mistake. He outstays his welcome, unfortunately, and he gives away the AWP. That should be the round done.
Yeah, it's going to be picked up by Leggy, who does have armor at least. Bit of a consolation, but no one really too known for AWPing as a secondary on this roster. Tapson falls as well. Next, he's been the man to step up on this map. We haven't really seen much from Tapson. Instead, it's all been him, but he only gets one. That will be it. fnatic pick themselves up an 8th.
8-2 for sure, but like you said, very partial buy from Big in the previous didn't force around the AWP, so they had the option to. A little bit strange outcome there for Keeve, but still they have enough to buy here. I think the AWP could have potentially come out. We actually had money there for it, but going against it, 4 AKs being purchased and Keeve down to that UMP. So he'll have a bit more utility to work with, but not so much firepower as we enter round number 11 here. Double AWP setup comes in. So Flusher, like I said, he has dabbled with the AWP before. He goes on that secondary AWP role. I don't think it's as strong as Dennis with Olofmeister's, but we'll see as we get to another Ivy setup here. It's going to be Golden, who's being baited in by JW. He's trying to show some presence there. He needs no scopes. He knows he's not going to kill them, but just showing he's there. It buys Golden some time there, potentially a frag or two. Nice shot by Flusher.
He gets dinked, but he wins the duel. Man advantage taken. Golden still just waiting in this smoke. Taking his time, Tapson. And Keeve waiting on the other side. JW now rotates in to try and help out. The smoke's going to dissipate. Big do have a Molotov. They could potentially just flush Golden out here. That could lead to them finding the frag. That's why you've got JW posted up, to try and help out Golden. But the play is made. The flash comes through, allow Golden to get them both. He steps up in a big way. Down goes Kevin Tabson. And now Nex and Godby, all that remain. The Germans, well, yeah, their lives come crushing down. The Swedes take the lead in a huge way in this round. And now Nex, he's been hot, but he's also dead.
Well, up to Godby now, and Harry, I have to say, we have to ring the bell. You said the word big out of context, so you tried your best, but there's the first one. Godby, he's trying to fight back, but it's going to be a flush that takes him down eventually. But I have to say, lovely teamwork there from the fnatic side. JW finding the first frag, that flashbang towards Ivy as well, finds a couple of kills there. And he's actually impressing me with his aim and general awareness how to push certain positions. It was Flusher with a secondary up there towards the upper ramp as well. And generally speaking, you want to be Molotov in that position to kind of push back those AWPers and taking a wide base. They dinged him, like he said, but he gets the first shot and falls back. And I think this is another pause for the big side. They will be buying into it, though. AKs across the board and no AWP. So fnatic with that double AWP setup. I'm calling right now, I'm big. I'm doing a full wall of smoke area. I'm doing flashbangs, wall of smokes, and trying to stick as a 5-man unit and refrag and try and isolate any AWPers there and get as close to the bomb trader as I possibly can before the AWPers have a chance to really do anything about it.
No, I have to agree. Especially, you know, I mean, they don't know this yet, but they've just brought out the double AWP setup. I mean, we had a Flusher on in the previous round, obviously, and now he's going to be donning his AWP shoes once more. I don't really think we saw him have too much of an impact, so that will come as a surprise to them. And if they do decide to go for the wall of smokes, that would counterplay that double AWP setup perfectly, because having them in the retake is going to be terrible.
Smoke's deployed, but it looks more like a fake to me. So they're deploying some smokes, but Flusher, this is perfect. He's probably almost guaranteed a kill here. There it is. That's lovely. Fullback dropped the incendiary, baiting Crims as well. And this is just beautiful stuff here. Crims, it doesn't get much better than this. This is textbook Counter-Strike right now. Tabson gets a frag in return, but it's not enough. He's low HP. Oh, just get off the server. That's just so nice by fnatic. Obliterating Big there. They read that like a book. Couple of quick smokes there. It was a nice idea from Big, but like I said, that close range AWP hit that first shot, baiting Crims to perfection as well. Just completely takes Big to score, unfortunately. That 10-2 haven't really had much of an impact on the T-set of train as of yet. In terms of team play and general approach to City side, this is some of the best CS I've seen from fnatic in a while, and that's saying something. Like, just a general approach in that the dynamic plays and kind of set flashbangs and teamwork coming through is actually really nice to watch.
I mean, from Big, we haven't really seen too much of that. Now, they force bought down what they could afford to buy. It's not a full investment. They've kept 2,000 lying around, so they can... Oh, Golden. There is a smoke there. Keeve. They come up short. Does fall. Now leaving this on the 4 remaining players for Big. Tabson's trying to work his way down through Ivy, but that smoke going to hold him back as now the rest of the guys start to turn their attention out here towards A main. Still looking a bit undecided. With a minute left, they've got plenty of time to make their mind up. Flusher is holding the B-bomb site on his lonesome. So currently there's 4 players for fnatic over on A. 3 of them are pushed up very hyper-aggressively. Lecro going to be here to try and help out JW, who misses these first couple of shots. Lecro now has to try and step up, which he will. Tabson able to take 1. Golden goes down over in Ivy. Or just Tabson and Legia left this round. Should be impossible, but you say should be. Tabson, he goes in and takes himself 3, trying to go for a bit more. Crims and JW, all that remain. The hero goes down, and it's all left on Legia. fnatic in with their 11th, but that round quickly got terrifying if you're a Swede.
Yeah, that's what Tabson can do in any given round. Sure, he hasn't been particularly electrifying so far, but those Deagle headshots are sending out a message. You're just getting warmed up here. This game's not done just yet. There's still a chance for Big, but they need to pick up at least 3 rounds. Hopefully 4. We'll see what they can do here. They move on to the CT half. It's still a very CT-sided map, but this is getting a little bit bleak for them now. Keith back on the AWP. I'll check from the scoreboards. We'll have a chance. It's going to be Legia 3 frags, Godby 3. That's kind of the storyline the guys are building up on the desk. They lack firepower here, and those are 2 of the names that come to mind when you're trying to work out who it is that can't necessarily keep up with the others.
Yeah, but then at the same time, weirdly enough, with Legia, we had a huge performance from him at the minor and in a couple of games during the major. So
no, absolutely. He definitely has the potential to, but when he can have big games, but generally speaking, fragging ability is not something we're talking about when it comes to him. Right? We're not saying like he's one of the top performers on the team.
Definitely not. Yeah, one of the reasons for that when we spoke to Godby, I think, was just because he said he feels like he brings a lot to the team. He listens well, they respond
That's
well.
fine.
And, yeah,
absolutely.
I feel like, you know, that can only get you so far, and that's something I think Yanko was saying down on the desk, and that you have to agree with, is that having all the tactics, that is one thing, but you have to have the firepower to back it up.
You can be a good team. I don't think you'll ever be like a
Yeah.
world-class team without the firepower to back it up. I think that's sure. You can be a family and be great friends, but it's another completely another topic we need to talk about. We need to cast this game right now, you know.
And well, right now, Big, they've got 4 players over here towards B. They're going to be leaving tabseN in the back line, down towards Ivy. Golden goes for the spray. He knows that he's there. The rest of the team now going to look to try and make their way into B. Letcrow doesn't complicate Maz too much. He only falls immediately. Golden going to go down as well. So tabseN mops that up. They know that he's in the back line. That's going to make rotating in that much harder, but they haven't accounted for flusha in the site. Takes the first, fakes out the defuse. Friendly flash comes through. flusha capitalizes on that all day long. tabseN on the flank, coming in from behind, beheads one, leaving this in the 1 versus 1. Keeve and Crims. Gonna try and go blow for blow. The defuse faked out. Keeve doesn't peek it just yet. Gets curious. Shoulder peeks on in. Crims faking out the defuse. Time ticking away. Has to try and be fast here. And he's dancing with death. Keeve just taking the peeks time and time again. Not gonna let anything happen. Crims picks it up. And there might be enough time left for this.
No, it was not. Keeve does it again from the upper ramp. He's done that twice now. Lovely work. This time in the AWP, quite a difficult prospect, I have to say. Was that a team flash came in from lower ramp? It can't have been, surely. If it was, that's a disaster. Like flashing your own teammate in that position, the game is red. It looked like a CD flash from me, but I didn't quite catch it. But there it is. It's going to be 11-3. A much needed. I was about to say big round. Can't say that.
That's forbidden.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that. So, Big managing to bring it to round number 3. There's still a double orb set up here for fnatic. Still going to be flusha and JW with that set up here. Crims this time. Okay, no, it's actually him with the secondary orb. So I tell a lie. And we'll see whether he can do anything with it as he goes towards the upper ramp. flusha orders lower.
This double orb set up on B. Allows Crims to start to push up. JW finds one outside. tabseN was the one to go down, but Nex and Keeve pull this one back into the favor of Big. flusha, we saw him try and step up in the last. This time he has to do it successfully. Over in Connector, he's going to be flashed back and kept at bay while the rest of the Big team come charging on in. Legia and Keeve ever watchful as this bomb tries to go down. Right now it's going to be Crims and Golden to cause them some problems, but they go down instantly, leaving it all on one man. flusha to try and step up. He finds the first, still has 3 more left to find. He's tagged to a measly 20 HP. And he's going to start to run away. Not much time left, last round of the half, so he may as well go for this. Going to try and come at this from Popdog instead. Keeve, however, has read this perfectly. Has the shot already lined up. There's no way that even Keeve misses this. There you go.
Well, we did say 11-4 is recoverable, at least for Big. I'm not so sure right now. It seems like fnatic are playing like a very well-oiled machine, I have to say. We'll come back after a quick break and see if Big can do anything about this situation. Big trail, 11-4. The new look fnatic is looking better than ever, I have to say. Not necessarily in terms of the fragging ability, but in terms of the synergy, the teamwork, the camaraderie, if you will. It's all coming together very nicely. But Big did manage to pick up the last 2 rounds and give themselves at least a fighting chance here as we enter half number 2. They'll be switching over to the CT side, and I definitely say Train lends itself to being CT-sided. So still within a chance here, Harry. If Tabson can find some form here and maybe the other guys to keep at his level, they have to win the pistol, but I'm not completely removing them from this map just yet.
I think that's the smart choice to make. I mean, we know these guys can cause waves. We saw that at the Major when they took everyone by surprise, making it all the way up from the EU minor, through the Major qualifiers, and then into the actual main event. They are now legends. So, you know, they've done a hell of a lot of work, but they're going to need to do just as much here if they want to try and win this out versus fnatic, who, as you said, are looking fantastic right now. Reinvigorated and revamped, ready for the events of 2017. A little bit late, perhaps, but, you know, they did manage to get there eventually. Golden adding a lot into this roster. Letcro, he's back again. But let's get into this second half. Big over on the CT side. They've gone for 4 players with armor. Leggy going to be the man on the kit, along with those 2 flashes to try and support his team. Interesting enough that we don't see God B be the one going for that. Usually it does tend to be the IGL who picks up the tactician's kit, if you will.
Yeah, but the gear's kind of like his
like
boy,
a support
right?
player
his
as
support,
well, right?
So he's fine with that. It's all good. So a straight line formation for Big. And it looks like kind of a default ramp for fnatic. They have got upper platform control. Flashbang's coming in. Smoke down lower ramp as well, just to find Flusher some room to wiggle with here. And we'll see whether he can get anything going. He's pulled the rotation towards CT spawn, but God B finds a first frag. Keeve goes down in response, though. This is looking very good for fnatic.
Yeah, they're just going to start walking in to A. Taps and taps away and finds Flusher. Letcro in the meantime claims one more. It's got B over in Ivy, who could make all the difference. He's able to take one, turns the man advantage back, but Leggy going to go down, and JW strikes again as he takes one, looks for a little bit more. God B's run out of ammo. Has to fall back and reload. Crims trying to cross with the bomb. Gets caught out in the open. Damage being done, and God B now on 3. Crims in the 1v1. Does not have armor to play with. Can't afford to miss anything. Aim Punch will play into this round. He has himself a smoke and got B. Well, he's already here. Picked up the kit from B, spots out Crims. And now Crims trying to hide, peeks on up. His little head peeks over. It's like intense whack-a-mole here for God B. As he starts to make his way on in. Checks the angles, knows that Crims hasn't moved out just yet, has a great idea as to where he is. He only has to connect 1 or 2 shots, but he's going to miss the opener. Crims taps away, clutches it out, 29 HP, 1v1, and that will be fnatic to pick up their pistol. This is now going to become very, very hard for Big.
Well, it's a little bit heartbreaking there, isn't it? It seemed like God B had done everything right. He finds 3 kills. He knows where Crims is. He locks him to that lower ramp location. He can't escape. He has the upper ground as well. He's picked up the Glock. Crims has low HP. He's got the kip. You feel like he's going to win it, but Crims known to be so deadly in those 1v1 situations. He wins it and brings the scoreline to 12-4. Love that from God B. Some fantastic shots, but not quite enough to win the round. And now they've got themselves in a very difficult situation now. Double scout set up here, and it's Keeve, known to be good with the Deagle. For that reason, there it is. He takes down Letcro, and it's perfectly positioned across there to find the first headshot.
Oh, Golden does not want to fall prey the same way Letcro did. Has to be careful here. He's already been tagged once. Takes the peek out, and there's Leggy to rotate in, using the scout like an AWP, doing the damage with the Deeg, and then executing with the scout. And JW, apparently fnatic not learning their lessons just yet. Send another man down here towards Ivy. They're going to lose out on Flusher in the meantime, and now just 2 remain. Keeve could get caught out here, which he will. So it's pulled back into a 2-on-4, but fnatic, they find themselves with their backs against the wall in this round, having to fight against it. God B's picked himself up a Mac 10, going to be holding the closer angle. Over here at B, waiting on rafters. JW rotating around with the AWP. Crims has to try and clear this, which he will. God B goes down. Bomb taking its time, actually waits out on A. They're going to try and use Crims as the fake on B. Pull the rotates off, but it hasn't worked. Nex is just holding the angle. The timing couldn't be worse here. Going to start to rotate off. And now Crims and JW try to take control. Well, actually, make that just JW tries to take control of A here.
Well, still, advantage lies in favor of Big here. 15 seconds now, and it's Legia to find yet another frag. We've seen 4 Spies win all night long, and there's another one on the board. 4 Big this time, and they bring the scoreline one step closer to being in their favor. It's 12-5, still to fnatic, and you know fnatic, they love a 4 Spy as well, but under the new leadership of Golden, maybe he doesn't want to kind of subscribe to that mentality anymore. He wants to keep more conservative, keep the lead. We'll have a look as the buys start to come through. A couple of sets of head armor there, so Flusher and Crim's all in. Golden as well. He spent everything he's got, so this definitely counts as the 4 Spy. They've actually all gone in at this point, and we'll see whether they can get anything done here. Usually you want to drop a wall of smokes here, try and get the bomb down, just so you can give guaranteed that sort of outcome. Sure, you might not win the round, but the bomb is an absolute necessity. Otherwise you get yourself in a lot of trouble in terms of the financial situation.
Swedes stacking up outside of B. Everyone here ready to pour in, and the B bomb site basically guarantees you this bomb plant. Tabson and Legia, that's the dynamic duo that lies in wait. Tabson has to try and step up. Legia gets nothing done as the smokes rain in. Tabson tapping away, takes 2, takes 3, takes all 4. Looking for the ace, and he's going to get it. Tabson is a monster.
Well, what can you say about that one? Lovely, lovely stuff from Tabson there, spraying them all down. Sure, he's up against the pistols, but they had armor, they had the smokes and the flashbangs. He's known as one of the best fraggers in Europe from his performances with this team. They did get to the top 8 at the major, right, but they've been known as a team that's been in the tier 2, tier 3 team. They've only been a team since January, but I tell you now, he's going to be, if he ever does leave this team, he'll be going to somewhere very special indeed. He's one of the best aimers and individual performers we have in CSGO. Fantastic to see there. Love that round. And there's a full eco now from fnatic as we enter round number 4. This is a chance for Big to get back into this. I did tell you it's not done just yet. Tabson continuing that good form. Why are they giving him more? Do not feed the beast. And Flusher created as well. It could have been another ace, but Flusher denied it by killing himself. And the flames come in, and it's another 4K this time for Tabson. So 2 rounds against 9 kills. I'm going to call it 2 aces. He did the damage with the crater. That's 2 aces. You know, that's fine. Why would, after he just does that over the previous rounds, why would they keep feeding him?
If gravity's even on your side, right, like what can't you do? That was fantastic. So 10 kills essentially across 2 rounds. That is fantastic.
Yeah, he's getting in his zone now, and that's the dangerous thing about that. And there's the crater, as I mentioned. Maybe that can be another turn for Chad in one of his other videos. What does crater mean? It'll be a quick one, but it's something for him, you know. It means when you die, you drop off. What are we looking at? I had a sort of circle. What was he drawing? 20 kills, maybe?
Yep.
Legia 5, got B6, and Tabson, he's on 20. That's a little bit common for this team, but he is the star player, so that's fine. They set him up in positions where he can get frags, and that's the idea of the team. They're aware of that. Jump boost here, but looks of things. You can see, so that's really cool. We took the X-ray off there, so you could see it is actually invisible when he jumped across. But Keith seems to be aware that he heard the sound, or did spot a pixel I didn't quite see. I'm looking about 6 feet away, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, Tabson still just left on his own over at B. Idea being, you know, he can be the anchor in that 1v5 if the worst comes to the worst. And if he rotates in, he's very, very strong in the retake as well. So right now, it looks like it could be the latter that we see in this round. Crim's going to be hopping down into Pop Dog. Doesn't transpire into too much. Lecro still just waiting down by Ivy, but quite soon fnatic are going to have to start to get a move on. It looks like it's going to be A. The smokes and flashes rain on in. Smoke for Connector. 1 down by Ivy, and we've actually seen this push come in from a Swedish team before. I think it was perhaps NIP tried this, where they try to push down through the smokes towards the site, but instead they're just going to go for it once they find the openers. An advantage up, equalized out. Crim's doing the best he can, but his leg going to go ahead and step up. Flusher trades. Bomb's been dropped, 20 seconds left. They have to move quickly here, but Tabson finishes it off. And that will be big. In with their 8th, starting to forge this epic comeback in map number 1 over on Train.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe now. fnatic floundering slightly here. They've picked up 1 round so far in this second half, and that was the pistol. Since the guns have come out and they've won a couple of force buys, Big have looked at the dominant side. It's another eco here for fnatic. We'll call this a partial buy, taking themselves down to about 2k per player. They get maximum loss bonus next round, which is $3,400 a piece. So they can afford to invest a little bit of cash here. CZs, Deagles, Tech 9s, a few smokes and some flashbangs, but ultimately shouldn't get much done here. As I say that though, JW with that deadly Desert Eagle shot takes down the AWPer as well at Ivy. That's quite beautiful. And now they've got something to work with here. They can't recover a weapon, but they have spread the defenses a little bit thinner.
Yeah, like he's already rotated in, picked himself up the AWP. He's the closest thing I think you'll see on this big roster to the secondary AWP, but Molotov gonna force back fnatic. Crims doesn't want to get tagged by it, doesn't want to give the sound cue that anyone's there. JW spots another man. This Deagle still thirsting for blood, but Nex quicker on the trigger with the M4 there. Does manage to finish him off on the push. Crims rotating around as the rest of the Swedes start to embark on their assault in the B-bomb site. tabseN still remains. He's been their biggest problem, and he's looking to be it once again. Within the site, takes the first. Still more damage to do. Flicking around, but only gets 2 this time. It's got B. The cleanup crew comes in. And Big moving forward with their 9th.
It's happening, Harry. Sure, these rounds a little bit tighter with the opening kill from JW. Thought there was a chance. He gets the opening pick. They try to get back towards inside, hoping they forced a rotation from that side of the map. They had, but tabseN, he finds 2 kills, and Godby stepping up as well on the rotation kills. Double AWP set up now for Big. Legia certainly is the secondary AWPer for this team. Sometimes can struggle with this weapon. I've seen him at events being lights out with sometimes counterpick. Comes to mind when he's playing for NRG. But since he's been in this big side, I haven't really been convinced by it. He's had some big misses with the AWP, and especially that minor I remember especially. But we'll see whether he can find something here today. It's going to be round number 7. Legia, we'll have a look as to where he's positioning himself. Actually towards outside, and a little bit clumsy for now, but Terrorists not coming in that position just yet. They're using their smokes to buy themselves some time. And fnatic, this will be the inside execution. A set piece, if you will, as we described in that lovely video earlier. We'll see if it works out for them.
Yeah, not one of these 2 AWPs is over towards the B-bomb site. Instead, it is tabseN and Nex, the 2 players that have been stepping up the most for Big, that lie in wait for fnatic now. I have to try and overcome this hurdle. tabseN has been too strong in the last few rounds. Will it be a repeat as now the push comes in? Smokes and flashes out, but the push is disjointed. The flash up through ramp proves to be too strong, and now there's one man within the site all on his lonesome. It's Lekro, but somehow he's making it work. Nex tries to step up and pull a tabseN, but gets denied. And now the 3 players from A desperately trying to retake, but they're displaced and coming in too late. Legia and Godby have fallen. Keeve, the last man left alive, has to save. And that's fnatic. They're back with a 13th.
The set piece works out, Harry. We need more of those. That's why you have them in your back pocket. When the defaults stop working, you need to have executions. You know you need to get your star players into positions where they can find frags and be together, have openings. That's what the set piece allows you to do. You're dropping smokes down the lanes of the trains there, Molotovs to push CDs out of position, flashbangs to counteract with those deployed Molotovs as well, get them in really uncomfortable spots. Then your star players can start hitting some 6 shots as well, and you see it there. Lekro, the new signing, 2 headshots for him. He's known as a great rifler and aggressive player as well, and it's all 5 players surviving fnatic. It brings the scoreline to 13-9. Quite a scary prospect now for Big. Their money should be good though, after winning 5 rounds in a row. Have a look at the players they kept alive. So 3, 2, 5, yeah, so they should be pretty healthy, generally speaking, as we enter round number 8. In terms of the residual cash, not much. 2 players on 0, and the rest of them about the 2K mark. So this is a big round for Big. Lose this one. Oh, you see what I did there?
Yeah,
I fell into the trap.
The second I saw you say it.
Oh, no. You hate to see it, but you get the point. They lose this round, it means a lot. And it's going to be Crims fast on the pop dog, and he finds Godby. 5 on 4, didn't lose too much HP at that point as well. tabseN, the star player. Difficult spot to really find frags here. Not going to get multiple. He might find 1 kill, but flashbang's presumably coming in. He does damage to Crims and can't quite find the kill. Now he's flashed as well. Definitely dead now. Flasher takes him down.
Yeah, he's done a boatload of damage. It's lined up Nex as they just keep funneling new people into pop every single time someone dies. Nex has now taken up position. fnatic are weary of the idea. 2 of them currently lying in wait down by Ivy, ready to push on through. It's Golden and Lekro. JW, as you would expect, in main. Goes back to get the bomb. And with it, he signaled that something is about to happen, something big. Smoke goes out. Into Pop Dog. Nex is holding the angle. He's pushed up. This means that they're really not going to use this Pop Dog control they've got. Instead, it's going to be the push from main and Ivy. Legia holding the angle, trying to step up. They come walking on out. Spots them, does the damage, but Golden finds the frag. And Nex, he's still lying in wait. The push comes in from flusha, albeit a little bit late. JW, looking like he has a lot on his plate, picks that one up. Now it's just Keeve in the 1v4. As he waits down in CT spawn. fnatic knocking on his door. He's going to make this into full back. Ops to save. That'll be fnatic. Up 14-9.
And yeah, it spells a very tricky situation now for Big. They need to save this AWP. If they can do that, we have something to work with here, but 1 round away from match point. fnatic in a very strong position here. They should definitely try and hunt Keith, but in CT spawn he's looking pretty safe for now. You can see on the X-ray players suddenly come towards him. That's golden, but it doesn't look like they'll go all the way towards CT spawn. So in terms of loss bonus, next round they'll get $1,900 per player, but 2 of them with 0 money whatsoever. But keep saving the AWP means they can force up. He can drop maybe a couple of UMPs, and they should be able to get somewhat of a buy here, but not meant to be. Golden. Do you know what, Harry? I've been thoroughly impressed with that young man. He's been doing a good job. He only got 14 kills, but his aim, when he's had duels, he seems to be hitting the shots required. Yeah,
and you know, with Cobblestone coming up next, it's a map I always used to love seeing fnatic Academy play on. I hope he can bring some of that into this next match. But that's something, you know, we can talk about when we get to it. Looking into this one away from what could be map point for fnatic. The buy for Big is weak, to say the least. Things are looking a little bit bleak here for the German side. Keeve, Tabson and Godby out towards A. Legia and next, actually to be bolstering that defense. They leave B open.
Yeah.
Only just rotating Legia around now, but they're playing it very passively. Keeve's already hit the deck, and that might facilitate this play as the rest of fnatic start to take control of Ivy. Checking every corner, leaving no stone unturned. Can't be too careful here as they make their way in. This could even catch Big off guard.
Well, I'm sure they'll struggle either way, considering they have no weaponry to work with it. It's a scout, excuse me, as they come in from the connector. Not really much next to do about that situation. Round done, match point achieved. There's the final kill. Legia goes down. Clean sweep for fnatic, and what seemed like quite a promising start to the city half here for Big. Has dropped off somewhat. That's now 3 rounds in a row against them. They had a very difficult first half as 11-4. Losing the pistol as well. They recovered with the force buy here, but there's a replay of the wall bang from Golden. Headshot at that as well. Finds a couple of frags in total. That's the scout going down. But this is what Big were banking on, hoping to get the AWP out for the potential final round here. Still going to need 6 in a row to force overtime, but fnatic with a huge advantage as we enter round number 10.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing Keeve go aggressive. He starts to push up. JW holding for a potential push, but it's the German AWP getting all the information right now. He's cleared out Ivy completely, and he can hold this as a very, very forward angle and get the information. Golden and Krim starting to peek his way. Have to be cautious. Walking down towards Ivy. Keeve holding the angle. They're going to probably flash for this and suspect that someone has taken the aggressive angle, but if they test it, which they will, then Krim's, he will go down. Golden still holding the angle. He has to try and be the golden boy here for fnatic if he wants to get this trade. And with Keeve just remaining steadfast and holding the angle too. It's a stalemate. First to peak will undoubtedly lose. Pop flash comes through, forces Keeve's hand. Going to try to rotate back around. No one there to help him. Only just manages to get out of the way. Should be able to survive the Molotov. Oh. Not looking great for Keeve, but he does get out of there.
Yeah. By the skin of his teeth, he certainly does. And there's a leg towards JW as well, so more damage being inflicted. It's now 5-4 in favor of Big. We might have a few more twists and turns in this map as they have the advantage for now. Time ticking away, 30 seconds here, Harry. No real final play or commitment towards a bomb site just yet. It looks like they'll probably have to end up towards inside from what I can see so far. And it'll be quite obvious, and Tabton's in a perfect position to shut this down. They can't really pin, so they have to go down the lower ramp and hope for the best.
Yeah, they have to go in. They can't afford to check it. Tabson now reveals himself. He misses the initial spray, but he tries to make up for it. He's going to fall short. JW misses that, and that could have been the man advantage taken. It's allowed Keeve to start to sneak on up with the AWP in hand.
No kits, Harry.
Yeah, they have to be fast.
And JW's got a Molotov as well.
This round's going to be very, very tricky. They have to get into that site now if they stand any chance of winning this out and staying in this map. Keeve, he's going to fall prey to JW on the peak. It's all eyes on Nex. He was fantastic in the first half. He's got to step up now. The Molotov reigns in to keep him at bay. He finds the first and the second. Nex is trying to do the impossible here. He's going to go hunting out for the last. Doesn't know where Flusher is. And with so little time left, it will be fnatic to win this out. 16-9. Nex gets all the frags, but the real winner here are the Swedes.
Absolutely right. I have to say, a decent attempt there from Nex. Tried his best, got all 3 kills, but it was all for naught. fnatic there with a pretty stellar performance on train, generally speaking. 11-4 in the first half. Some great rounds, some great teamwork on the CD side especially. Struggled somewhat on the T side, but they got things together with their set pieces there. As soon as they went towards inside, those set smokes and Molotovs, they looked like a much better unit, allowing their star players to find the frags needed, and they run away with the game at that point. Boys, over to you at the desk.
Well, fnatic looking golden there as Big didn't look like they had a Legia to stand on that T side. Thanks, guys.
Overdoing it.
You like that one?
Overdoing it.
Okay,
much.
I have to work on those. But yeah, 16-9 to fnatic. They actually looked really good. Their CT side, they were making some amazing reads, good predictions. They were rotating well, finding a lot of early frags, and pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, fun to see them, like, actually not just having, like, you know, super flamboyant individual plays, someone going ham or super aggressive on their own, but instead actual system behind it, right? Like an actual idea of what we want to do. People flashing to one another, you know, and seeing that they were playing off each other there too. So yeah, fun to see that be the case.
Yeah, and also some very good mid-round aggression from fnatic on the CT side, you know, being aggressive towards Ivy, not early on, but around the 1 minute, 50-second mark, getting that information that we were talking about in the pre-game. So I think it was pretty obvious that the win conditions we were talking about, fnatic managed to fulfill them. Big, not really that much so, and you can see the flaws and the lack of firepower really show itself here, with both Legia and Gombi having a poor game, and really the tactics weren't able to compensate for that in the first half.
We didn't really see them get a lot of penetration with those tactics, right? They were stopped.
It's very important to penetrate.
Yes. Yeah. That's one of the most important factors of any game. But tabseN was still leading the scoreboard, right? But he did have a little bit of stat padding, I would say, with 2 rounds back-to-back of a couple of nice eco frags there. But he was the only one who appeared to be getting anything done with the help of Nex. You know, you saw him potentially picking up that last round there, that clutch situation against flusha. But this is one ace from tabseN.
I feel like, especially in their CT half, it was like a situation where, you know, fnatic kind of seemed lost in the early part of the second half. That was to be expecting them to be kind of struggling on the T side, you know. But the first actual round they won fnatic won, was them like an inner push together, right?
Yep.
And that was like 2 uncontested kills by fnatic, right? You got to be able to get those skills down, at least make it a 3-on-4 situation in that kind of a scenario, so that you have some kind of an opportunity. But when it's a 3-on-5 and the bomb side is totally lost, it's almost impossible to win around anymore.
You saw them use the utility really well, you know, constantly Molotoving connector, and makes it very difficult to rotate in those situations.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. It's great that you can at least see that from fnatic, being able to pull that off, and just being able to, or you know, being aware that that's the call to go for. Some previous iterations of fnatic, they would just keep going for that default, let's try to get a pick here and then play off of that, and at some point that's just not going to work anymore. So then being able to adjust and have some sort of an execute to fall back on is great to see, and I would appreciate it if it's a sign of things to come.
They also had some unique things, right? You're talking about the executes there. I don't know if many people noticed, but they actually threw a smoke from outside T mid to cover off the Pop Dog player, because they knew there was a CT guy in there and they wanted to push out T-Con. And that was a really cool way to deal with it. If the Pop player dropped a little bit later when that smoke was starting to dissipate, probably would have been a free kill in that scenario too. So they actually were innovating kind of in a way. You know, those are unique things. You don't really see you smoking off your own Pop as the Ts. So interesting stuff from fnatic there.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that they need to innovate too. They need to really refresh the way they play, because they've always just been too much like about the things that Janko was talking about, and you know, it just doesn't fly anymore.
Yeah, I think the big problem for Big, I think an issue for Big was losing the second round in the first half, right? They win the T-pistol and they lose to the Force buy. You feel like they're one of those teams that really needs a 3-0 start on the T side, because that gives them all the utility they need for the first gun round. Even if they lose the first gun round, they probably can buy again and have at least one more gun round to play with. And Gombi is one of those in-game leaders who really has a plan, not just for the one round, but also, okay, if we do this in the first gun round, they're going to react by doing, you know, X, and then we do Y, and it's, you know, a very, very huge mind game that he plays. And when you get denied that because of a low economy, it becomes much more difficult to execute.
Yeah, well, coming up next, we have the chance for Big to do that to fnatic, keep tabs on the boys, and make sure that they don't get flushed down the toilet. Nice little 16-9 from them, and will they be able to continue on Cobblestone? We'll find out after the break. Puns.